Hello, all of you wonderful people out there in podcast land. Welcome to another episode of Black and White Reviews. My name is Will.
My name is Lee.
And my name is Chuck.
And we are here to discuss Season 1, Episode 2, Season 1, Episode 3 of Stranger Things, titled Jolly Holly. Holly Jolly.
Holly Jolly.
Holly Jolly. I don't get these titles.
I don't get that one either. This one I don't get.
There's lights everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the weirdo on Maple Street was referring to 11. They found 11 on Maple Street. Because at one point, I think in this episode, they refer to 11 as the weirdo. So that's sort of like, okay.
Okay.
But yes, in this one, that's where, there's the whole thing with the Christmas lights. The 17 boxes. Just ring it up.
So I thought we were doing the Daily Wire exclusive Lady Ballers today.
Oh. Yeah, that's already released.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
We almost started watching that on the hill last night. We were pulling up the trailer like, oh no, this is like the full movie, so we're gonna watch the whole thing. It's already out. You don't have to wait. It's already out. If you've got Daily Wire Plus, it's already available.
I don't have.
I'm not paying for that. Are you kidding me? I'm not giving Ben Shapiro any of my money. You're out of your mind. The hack and everybody that works there.
Let's talk politics.
I can't wait to talk about that with you. So yeah, we'll be Chuck and I are gonna do that one day. But we gotta figure out when. It's gonna be spicy. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be spicy. Okay. Anyways, but we're not here to talk about that right now.
For the weekend update. I see. So we are
Stranger
doing
Things.
Season 1, Episode 3. What did you guys? Am I going first? Since
I want you to go first because
I think you need to go first.
I think you're gonna be the one that goes first in a lot of these because like it's amazing how much I forgot happened this early on in the show. Like, for example, I did not think that the whole lights thing happened this early. I always thought that was like a mid-season thing, like a big reveal for like Winona Ryder to be like in her house, and the Christmas lights and the painting the alphabet on the wall. Like I always envisioned that like that has to be in the middle, right? We're nowhere near that. Nope. Episode 3, we're ripping the Band-Aid off with that one. I was okay. All right, sure. So
ripping the Band-Aid off. Yeah.
Without getting into any spoilers or anything.
Correct. Oh.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're good. Everyone's good. Without getting any spoilers, what are my thoughts? Yeah, Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder. She's mental. Definitely mental.
She's blowing this part away.
She's killing it. She still can't cry, but that's fine. I mean, the whole thing is, I watched this episode twice because I was like, I have questions. I know what they reveal at the end of this isn't actually true.
Well, so we'll get there.
It is and it's not. It is.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
There's definitely a lot more going on. We talked about with this facility, but we'll get into that. I mean, it's just whew.
Again, and I asked it last week. Like, how do all these people living in this really small town, tight knit community where everybody knows each other, and nobody ever stood up and goes, "What are they doing in there? What's going on here?" Like, never occurred to anybody. And it takes
government.
It takes a missing kid for somebody to finally go over there and knock on the door and be like, "Hey."
It's not government though. So
well, they do say that that's what it sounded like, government experiments and blah blah blah.
Yeah, but it's I enjoy. I'm actually liking Hopper in this. I'm liking his character more and more. Steve, I was to your point where you're saying that he was more innocent. I'm actually beginning to believe that. Like, I actually like his character.
Mm-hmm.
He walks that line of like, is he edgy? Is he not? Is he edgy? Is he not?
Yeah. They tried to like do an 80s style jock with him, but they didn't. Like I feel like that must have been like the original idea. Like he's walking around high school with a Letterman jacket on, being the tough guy to everybody, but they kind of it feels like that's what it should have been. Like what's his name? No, like what's his name? Like oh my god.
John Travolta in Grease.
No. Like what's his name from The Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
Estevez.
Yeah, Estevez. Yeah, that character from The Breakfast Club. I feel like that's what this character what they were trying to go for.
But he's actually more like Molly Ringwald in that, where he's just kind of like, he's got money, he's just a popular one. And that's the interesting thing about this. So remember, I mean, I always go back to like the Outsiders, because I think of like the Socs and the Greasers and stuff like that. You had those crews, those groups, and there was the one that was like the popular ones, and they might have been jocks, or they might have been just something, but it was something about their status. And here, you've got this guy, Steve Harrington, right?
He wasn't a jock, though.
He's not a jock, but he's just like, he
has that
up
feel,
there in status for some reason. And, I think it would have been too cliche just to have the football star, like, especially because of what they, what they're doing with his character, the way that his persona is very different than that. Like, he couldn't really pass as that type of character.
Right.
I mean, not
yeah,
not
but he doesn't pass as
anything like that.
He doesn't pass as preppy either.
I know, but you know what he passes as? Kevin Bacon in Friday the 13th. He wasn't a jock. He was just like, hey, whatever. Like, or any of those characters. He was just like the cool guy because he had a status for whatever reason.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, why is he dating the Nancy of the crew, though?
Well, because he wants to. So there's the thing about his character, and it's without getting into any detail about this. I mean, it sounds like we're getting really, really heavy into Steve here, but the thing about his character is you almost see a conflict in him, but it's not like it was super exposed.
That's what I was saying. He walks the line. He walks that edgy line, like, I'm trying to be cool, yet he has this like innocence, like Will was saying a couple weeks ago about him, where one moment he's like, oh no, be nice, then he destroys something, or what's her problem? He walks that line, but at the same time he's like, he's letting her know that he's not saying things, that he's not doing things. So he's I would say right now, I'm actually more intrigued by his character than I am by 11.
Okay.
Because for me, 11 is so obvious. So obvious. It's so on the nose right now, where Steve's is not.
Okay. Yeah.
11's is an experiment gone wrong. Steve's just a 16-year-old boy who can't control his hormones and is freaking out left and right. And yeah. He's trying to decide
caught between what he wants and his popularity and
right.
Yeah, I will say the first time viewing this season, I did not really see that with him. I saw him, and there were slight moments, but most of the time, like, this guy's just a jerk. And I feel like maybe there's more that happens in this season that kind of drives that home for me. I don't really remember.
Right.
Will, don't say anything.
I'm not going to.
I feel like there is something that definitely drives that home, where it's like, man, this guy really is just a straight up jerk. But here you can see that conflict, but it's, right. I don't feel, I almost don't feel as though the director even said to do it. Like, he's just doing it.
He's just doing it.
It's very natural for him, where he's like, when he, I mean, I don't know where we are. Where are we in this conversation? It sounds like we're getting kind of deep into it.
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll get to it later.
I almost don't even want to give my thoughts, because I feel like I'm going to give something away, because I
that's why I'm saying I don't know what his
I want. That's why I like every single one of these. I'm going to have Chuck go first, and then Lee can say whatever he wants to, because I'm more familiar than either one of you are. So I want to keep my mouth shut as much as possible, because and the further we get into the series, the more and more I'm probably going to do that, because we're going to get deep into a lot of like heavy storyline, and I'm afraid to say anything.
Right.
So that's the thing, though, is what I'm enjoying is the main plot seems pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
but what's going on around it isn't all the time. And I like that because you're like, what is going to happen? I'm guessing, this is just my guess, I'm guessing that, we haven't even hit season 5 comes out in 2025, and I think they just ended season 4.
They just a few months ago. Well,
Just
several months ago.
Season 4
Several.
Came out like a year ago.
Yeah, several months.
Oh, so they're
several
releasing
months.
these like 2 years apart then.
Yeah, but you have to figure the writing strike and everything else that was going on,
Right.
and it's not like even when there was no writer's strike, there was still a good 2.5 years between seasons. It wasn't quick.
No.
It wasn't like
That's
a year on the
gonna be-
nose after one another.
That's going to be interesting with child actors, but hey,
Well, that's what
we already
talking
said
about
that. We already
Right.
said that. Like even if you go, and I'm not saying to look anything up, but even if you go and look at photos of what they look like in the 4th season, it is, oh my God, how is this in the same decade? They are 20
right.
years older. It's ridiculous.
I mean, you've seen what Finn Wolfhard looked like, and that was in Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was, 2 years ago?
Right.
And he looked a lot older than what he looks like in this as Mike,
Right.
But
no, I like that there are times where I'm like, I think I have some characters pegged, and then they switch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hopper is one of them. I thought I had him pegged as this like, alcoholic who just doesn't care.
He is.
And then
It's not like you're wrong there. When you look at his place, it was like there are beer cans everywhere, and Lee and I talked about it in the pilot episode. He wanted that kid found as fast as possible so he could go back to that coach.
Go back. Right.
mm-hmm.
But you're seeing growth, and I think that's what I'm going to appreciate from this episode, from this TV show, is that from episode 1, how many episodes are there in the first season?
12, 13?
13?
Somewhere in there?
13,
yeah.
And there's probably 12 or 13 episodes per season.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, 48, 50 episodes later by the end of season 4, the character growth for each of these characters is probably going to be amazing. And I think that's what makes a TV show like this great, is you can keep the plot line kind of there and it's on the nose, but when you have character growth, that's when it becomes interesting and it's really, really good.
Right.
Mhm.
And from what I've seen so far in these first 3 episodes, the character growth already is begun. This actually gives me a little bit of feel character growth wise on a smaller level, but it feels character growth wise a lot like the Breaking Bad character growth. Because it's you have an ensemble, but they're all growing in their own ways, and there's going to be shifts and turns and this and that and this. Even though the end result of Breaking Bad was, the plot was pretty obvious, you still knew the character growth is what made it super interesting. And I'm getting that feel on a lower level with this TV show so far, and I really appreciate that. It's been a while since I've seen a TV show where the character growth is, this good with every character.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I like about it is the authenticity of the kids crew. The kids. It's not like I'm always going to go back to the Sandlot or the It miniseries or the It made for TV. Tim Curry, things like that, and think about those movies. I grew up with that, and you always saw the way it was written and everything, and it's like these dramatic, ridiculous things like oiling, lotioning, and oiling. I can't take it. Like it's acting.
Right.
Where this just seems so much more real. Like the conversations, again, we talked about Dustin. He's like, she kept going like this. Like it's so much more authentic because I feel like they say to the kids, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's how it's going to go. Here's your line. Roll with it.
Right.
Kind of like what we do with the Magi thing up on the hill. Just like, where you're supposed to start and where you're supposed to end, and everything in between, just be you. And they're doing that here. And I think that's what I appreciate most about at least this first season. As we go, I'll still have to I'll have to see if it changes. I don't really remember, but I do appreciate that here because now that they're doing it this way, I feel like the characters are more. It's easier to get established in their characters. You know, when we watch stuff and we say, "Who's this guy? Like, why do we care about this person?" Like when we watched Loki and we're like, "Who's this Brad guy? Like, who is he and why do I care?" And this other person
Came
and this
and
person
went and had no point in the TV show.
Yeah, it was like, eh. But like when he was first introduced, like, why do I suddenly care? How about these people? You can't introduce like 7 people and expect us just to love them and understand who they are right off the bat. But the way they're doing it here, it's so authentic that you immediately like you know who everybody is. You kind of get who their character is, at least a good base, and you start to actually already develop, you know, some type of feelings for them, you know, some type of emotion for who they are and what they're
It's
going
the
to do.
exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. The problem that we had with Titans. Well, my problem, anyways, was the ensemble was way too big. They didn't spend
Right.
enough time on each individual character for you to like grow some type of attachment. And it's kind of the way that I like had an equivalent to Lost, and in kind of a way where the first episode was all about the relationship between the kids and them, you know, finding Elle. And the second episode, what they kind of had a background, and it was like the adults' time to like come forward, and like, everything happened with Hop, and like you see like this rotation of characters where every episode or every other episode you're gonna have like a spotlight episode for like, here's this person's story arc over this episode and everybody else is on the back burner. I think that's a much more effective way of doing the ensemble than what Titans did, was just throw everybody together and throw everything at the wall in a million miles a minute and cut. Yeah. So
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Sure.
You know? I mean, all the details are there. It's just like, yeah, but we're still trying to understand what just happened 10 minutes ago.
Right.
You
Well,
know.
and this too is like Dustin.
Let us digest.
Dustin, Mike, and the other kid. What's his name?
Dustin, Mike, and Lucas.
Lucas.
To me, right now, even though they're individual characters, they're growing them as one character in the ensemble right now because they're always together. So you very rarely see, at least up to this episode, they're all, except for a few shots here and there, they're always together.
Mike is very separate because of his connection with Elle, because he has that alone time with her.
Even immediately, yeah.
Yeah, so Mike is definitely like, you look at him as he's the main kid.
Out of the 4 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say that that Dustin and Lucas are, you know, those two are, you know, kind of like they're a character because they're the friends. There's the goofy one. There's the one like, no, this is dumb, you know, like trying to be the smart one. And then you've got the character Will, who's missing. And I mean, you can kind of guess what's going to happen. And you're like, well, how, like, what are they going to do? I mean, honestly, do you think at this point, do you think they're going to kill this kid off? No. Okay, so if they were to kill him off, how do you think they would react?
Pretty mad.
They'd want revenge and they'd go that way. So that could be one way the show goes. The other way the show could go is that they get the kid back and he gets reintroduced into the characters. How is he going to fit now that we're spending an entire season building up these characters with this one character who's off doing his own adventure, you know, like whatever's happening? How is he going to fit back with this group? Is it going to be more like Mike and then the 3? Or is it going to be like,
I guess
Mike,
we'll find
the
out,
2,
won't
and
we?
then him? Yeah. Well, I wanted to throw it out there and just kind of think about it because I think there's a dynamic that is being built here, you know, and what things would change that dynamic? Are we going to get more individual stories and build up each character as we go? Is it going to be like Mike and then there's his buddies?
Maybe
You know,
the term,
sometimes
maybe right now the term is going to be a little bit too strong because of how young they are. But there is a term for this, and it's called trauma bonding. And
absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly what it, and these 4 are going through it, and Will is kind of on the outside. So that, yeah, I'm all. I agree with that, and that's apparent from the jump.